What's up, guys? DLE Kamel here, and this is an absolutely nutty week in Duel Links. We got the structure deck leak, the KC Cup ended, and right after the KC Cup, Konami drops this ban list on us. I don't think Konami has ever been so fast at dropping a ban list directly after the KC Cup, probably since 6 Sams were around and they dominated. Now, before I continue, guys, I just want to mention I did get some new equipment over the holiday weekend, and I'm not quite done setting it up yet. That's why my videos look a little crazy. I gotta mess around with some lighting, some cameras, some stuff like that. So by my tournament stream on Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch, new ban list tournament, I will be looking good. The stream will be looking good, so make sure you stop by. But before then, I want to go over the ban list. It dropped this morning. You guys saw Rise thoughts. So you've already seen everyone else's initial reaction, so I'm not going to waste your time with that. Let's get right into my ban list thoughts. And I'm going to be talking about Harpies as a whole first, since this is the only nerf that Harpies have. Swallow's Nest going to 2 means that it is also at a limit 2, along with Elegant Egotist and Treacherous Trap Hole, the other 2 limited 2 cards that Harpies play. And man, I am disappointed. If you guys know me, I've been talking on the stream, I think Harpies have needed Swallow's Nest and a Harpy monster as well to be on limited list in some way. Swallow's Nest really only opens up the gates for Harpies to use other back row techs to protect themselves, to give them the same effect. Nothing, of course, will give you the value of Swallow's Nest. Tribute to Winged Beast, especially another one. You get to keep both your monsters' effects, and then you get another Winged Beast in the graves that you can reutilize with Harpy's Feather Rest. No longer the case. Now you're going to have to settle for Forbidden Land, so your monster will remain on the field unaffected by spell traps, which means you can be chained to Forbidden Lands in order to still be flipped down or gotten rid of. And you are still stuck with just one monster in play and that monster's effect. So it's a little bit less optimal. But to be honest, I still think that this nerf was not... I don't think it was huge enough for Harpies. We just had the first tournament from the new ban list, and Harpies were not in the top 8. So I think this may turn out to be effective, as other decks, as we've seen, have been growing under Harpies, have better answers, once Swallow's Nest is removed. Stuff like TG, even DDD as of late has been showing its competence, and a lot of these other decks are just going to be able to deal with Harpies so much more easily now, thanks to Swallow's Nest not being a part of the deck, because they have to prioritize Elegant Egotist and Treacherous Trap Hole. So if this does end up pushing Harpies out of the meta, I'll be happy. If it doesn't, we need a Harpy monster on the ban list, but I'm more than happy to see Harpies finally getting some serious utility taken away from them and not just a slap on the wrist nerf. Alright, the other limit 2 card is Spellbooks, and fuck it, I'll talk about Spellbooks next. They've gotten 2 changes, Spellbook of Fate to 3 and Spellbook of Master to 2. The main problem with Spellbooks before was that the Fate play was their only play, and it was very powerful and had little counterplay. So now they're kind of easing back, since Spellbooks are very slow and their best play is not always, readily available to them. So now Fate is at 3 and Master is at 2. Master is essentially a consistency card that you'll just, play in order to make sure you're able to cycle your Spellbooks continuously. I actually want to check really quick if there are any other Spellbook cards on the ban list, because Spellbooks have not been limited for a very long time. So we've got Fate at 2, and that's it. Nothing else in Spellbooks is limited. So Fate will be going to 3 and Master to 2. Eternity used to be limited as well, but they've removed that. So Spellbooks looking like some free real estate. The main problem with Spellbooks, though, is that they have not had much power in the sense of monsters, and can only utilize their effects when you have a spellcaster monster on the field. High Priestess was the biggest buff that they've gotten in recent months for their actual deck, and even that card is pretty interruptible. Doesn't have too much protection on summon, but it does have a very powerful effect. So if people do find a way around the fragility of High Priestess of Prophecy, I think Spellbooks are in for a treat, dude. Limit 3 on the Fate is pretty darn good. Okay. Now this is the big thing Thunder Dragons are probably almost entirely dead. Their big power play, Chaos Dragon Levianeer, had to be hit to 3, causing the deck to really suffer, which I feel is super unfortunate for Levianeer. I felt like Levianeer was one of those Treacherous Trap Hole level cards, in the sense that there are not too many cards in Duel Links that are as powerful as Levianeer or as impactful. And you know, that is for a reason, because of decks like Thunder Dragons that can readily summon it turn after turn and just totally abuse the deck. So you can see here, there's no Thunder Dragons currently limited, but the Dark will go back to 3. And I do believe, you know, the other Thunder Dragon cards like Aloof Lupine and Charge are also nerfed. So let's take a look at this. Aloof Lupine at 2. Charge of the Light Brigade is at 2. So you are not going to be messing around with those starters. The Thunder Dragons getting freed before gave you a little more leeway. Now that will not be the case. You're going to be much more restricted when you play Thunder Dragons. The Thunder Dragon Dark is not going to be searching you repeatedly. It will be interesting to see the remaining Thunder Dragon decks. Are they just going to let the deck die, or are they going to try to play with a ratio of Thunder Dragon Dark and Chaos Dragon Levianeer? The reasoning is definitely there for Levianeer, but I don't know if the deck can handle taking such a hit on the searching level. Most of the success that we've been able to see from Thunder Dragons lately is just the fact that they've been able to spam out ranks 5, 6s, and 8s all throughout the different stages of the duel, and without a big Thunder Dragon Dark play, that's going to happen a lot less. And I think a lot of those other decks that are in the meta are just going to slam over Thunder Dragons now, because they have that summoning consistency over them now. Most other decks had their deck consistency already over Thunder Dragons. They were drawing the things they needed to get their combos together, but Thunder Dragons, through all stages of the duel, was just better at summoning than any other deck. That is no longer the case. They don't have free access to their best summonable boss monster or their best searchers, so it is not looking good for Thunder Dragons, dude. Not in the slightest. We're gonna have to keep an eye on them in the future meta. So lastly, we've got some cards coming off the list. Gaga Sister and Iron Core of the Koa'ki Meiru. Koa'ki Meiru specifically is a relic strategy. It is over 2 years old now, approaching 3 years in January of its meta appearance. And yeah, I just think, you know, a deck like this, you need way too many combo pieces in order to, you know, really play. In 2019, it was very powerful because we had balance, and it was super easy to open your combos and stall until you did, and then you had an unstoppable board once you had, you know, Maximus Wall or Maximus the Sandman. Oh my god, 2 years ago, dude, can't remember. But yeah, this card got limited in the place of Diamond Core, and no qualms here. Let's play some Koa'ki Meiru, bro. Gaga Sister, definitely glad to see this back. No reason for it to be really nerfed anymore, just because the automat skill got absolutely gutted. So, you know, let's see some automats, baby. The automats don't need to be nerfed anymore. I'm interested to see what people come up with. And my final thoughts on the ban list as a whole.
Wow, monkey.
Oh my gosh, that was funny. I really just hope that this really does kill Harpies. I don't want to see Harpies again in a tournament after this ban list. They need to die. More other decks need to rise. A lot of people whose only deck are Harpies, I know they're gonna stick to it, but trust me, it's healthier for the meta if Harpies are just not a deck anymore. Swallow's Nest forcing most decks onto Lance, we will have to see. It does not hurt the Harpies core engine or gameplay loop as a whole, but it will definitely make them a lot less safe to play. And I don't know if that is good enough for me. For Harpies to really fall out of the meta, we're going to need some better options in the form of decks that will power creep it. You know, we've got some decks around right now that were like nipping at Harpies' heels, waiting for them to get nerfed, like TG in the water deck. But, you know, do you really want just those old meta decks to become meta again? No, I want some new stuff in here to slam Harpies out of the meta. That's my thoughts on the Harpies and Thunder Dragons, dude. I keep saying it, Thunder Dragons have been asking for this nerf for a while, just simply not staying down, being the best purveyor of every summoning mechanic, always being able to utilize new high-level monsters just because all of their mechanics are also similar. You tribute, you banish from the grave, you get an effect. That's it. You can almost any monster like that you can plug into Thunder Dragons. And now they're making Thunder Dragons' best plays a lot less consistent. And you know what? Thunder Dragons' big power plays with his big boss monsters were the best parts of the deck and one of the only things that they had over most decks. And now they don't have that. So it will be interesting to see where Thunder Dragons land after they have Levineer and Thunder Dragon Dark to 3. But yeah. Levineer getting hit to 3 specifically for me is something I'm like, wow, there's not too many other cards in the game that have very powerful effects like this. And they're choosing to take a stance against Levineer this time and, you know, not TTH, like a lot of you other guys thought Treacherous Trap Hole. So before we go, let's talk about Treacherous Trap Hole. Treacherous Trap Hole is not on the ban list right now. And a lot of people have been asking about it. Even Rye, dude, Rye really wants Treacherous Trap Hole to be banned. And what I have to say about that is I do not think Treacherous Trap Hole should be banned. And that's because Treacherous Trap Hole is a sign of all of the problems, all of the major problems that we have in Duel Links right now, right? Most archetypes, I would say 90% of archetypes get released in a box, structure deck, character, what have you, and they come in bits and pieces throughout the year. But after the course of a year, even if you can say a deck is completely done in Duel Links, it does not have negates, it does not have disruption on your opponent's turn, and it does not have high amounts of monster removal. These are all things that Treacherous Trap does. Remove 2 monsters, interrupting during your opponent's turn. Doesn't negate, but you know, why negate when you can just destroy 2 of your opponent's monsters? The fact that 90% of decks in Duel Links straight up do not have ready access to those effects in their boss monsters, in their core deck, is the reason Treacherous Trap Hole is still here, and it will be here until we get some really complete decks that can like destroy 3 cards at a turn and negate. In my opinion, that is the trade-off that has always existed within Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. We get weak archetypes, so we get busted text. You know, we got Lance. Lance was pretty crazy. I personally didn't think we were going to get it, but it showed up to be pretty insane. True Nade as well, and Treacherous. So, one last thing on Treacherous. People say, well, Cabell, Treacherous, True Nade was banned because every new deck that comes out, they just put in Treacherous. Now, Treacherous is the same thing. Everyone just puts in Treacherous. Why should they ban Treacherous? Man, they should not ban Treacherous because the two things are not the same. The reason I think they felt that it was acceptable for them to ban True Nade was because they had Mystical Space Typhoon coming right around the corner. We already had Cosmic Cyclone, and they were adding a new readily available back removal card with no cost to the game in Mystical Space Typhoon. And they don't want people still defaulting to True Nade when you can be playing MST, which is a healthier version of back removal with more interaction. Now, Treacherous Trap Hole, they get rid of Treacherous. What is going to fill the void? There's no other back row cards that just absolutely demolish your opponent like that. Other decks and Duel Links don't just have access to these, you know, offhand parts of their strategy where they can just demolish your opponent in 1 to 2 turns via some destruction effects. And because most decks don't have that, that's why they can't remove it. They cannot remove Treacherous from the metagame. I think Treacherous is going to be here for a very long time, especially until Konami cleans up their act with the boxes and us receiving new archetypes. There's no way. We absolutely need Treacherous in order for, you know, stuff to happen, man. Stuff needs to happen. There needs to be outs to very oppressive decks like Harpies. What do you do against Harpies? You know, you TTH them. Simple, straight, sweet, straight into the point. So TTH, I know people hate to hear this word. It's a necessary evil, man. And it is here to stay. So those are my Banlist thoughts. Let me know what you thought. Definitely, I am kind of disappointed. I thought Harpies would get hit a little harder. But Thunder Dragons definitely needed to go, and they are gone And that's it. There's no skills either. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Definitely a shrimpy ban list, but we will see just how effective it is in the coming weeks. Stay tuned here at DLE for all of your ban list news. Peace out. I'll see you later.